Good morning, friends. Today we can see some points on professional ethics. A profession as a vocation requires advanced education and training. That is, a specifically trained and educated person can only act as a good professional or work as a good professional. That is, profession requires specific training and it is regulated by certain standards. Professional ethics, it is concerned with one's behavior and conduct while carrying out a professional work. The main components of professional ethics are honesty, integrity, transparency, accountability, confidentiality, objectivity, respectfulness, obedience to law. Honesty refers to a facet of moral character that denotes positive attributes such as integrity, truthfulness, straightforwardness, along with the absence of lying, cheating, or theft. Integrity is a concept of consistency of actions, values, methods, measures, principles, expectations, and outcomes. Therefore, integrity is a concept of consistency. Transparency, it allows citizens to have accessibility, usability, utility, understandability, and informativeness, auditability of information and process held by centers of authority. That is, everything must be transparent to the citizens. Accountability, it is often used synonymously with concepts such as answerability, blameworthiness, liability, and other terms associated with the expectation of account giving. Confidentiality, it is the ethical principle of discretion associated with the professions such as medicine, law, psychotherapy. That is, these are the following fields where confidentiality is very important: medicine, law, and psychotherapy. Objectivity, it is a principle of journalistic professionalism enabling high accelerated news reporting and delivery. And respect, it gives a positive feeling of esteem for a person. Next one is obedience to the law. We all know that law is a set of enforced rules under which a society is governed. The law establishes the rules that define a person's rights and obligations, and the law also gives penalties for person who violate these rules, and the law, it is frequently changed according to the need of the society. Law is a system of rules and guidelines which are enforced through social institutions to govern behavior. Next, we can see one form of professional ethics, that is euthanasia. Euthanasia, it is mainly coming from a Greek word euthanatosis. Eu means good and thanatosis means death. Euthanasia, it is mainly associated with medical ethics and it means good death or gentle and easy death. This word has come to be used for mercy killing. You have already heard about mercy killing. The practice of intentionally ending a life to relieve pain and suffering, that is mercy killing. And the word euthanasia, it was first used in the medical context by Francis Bacon in 17th century. We can see different types of euthanasia: passive, active, voluntary, involuntary, assisted, and direct euthanasia. First, we can see active euthanasia. In active euthanasia, when death is brought about by an act, for example, taking a high dose of drugs to end a person's life by the use of drugs, and this may be done by oneself or by the aid of a physician. That is, here the life is ended with the help of high dose of drugs, with the help of a physician or by oneself. That is active euthanasia. In passive euthanasia, death is brought about by an omission. That is, when someone lets the person to die, and this can be done by withdrawing or withholding the treatment. Withdrawing treatment means, for example, switching off a machine that keeps the person alive. Withholding treatment means, for example, not carrying out a surgery that will extend the life of a patient for a short time. Voluntary euthanasia, it is committed with the willing or the autonomous cooperation of the subject or the patient. This means that the subject is free from direct or indirect pressure from others. Non-voluntary euthanasia occurs when the patient is unconscious or unable to make a meaningful decision or choice between living and dying, and an appropriate person takes that decision for him or her. This is usually called murder, but it is possible to imagine cases where the killing would count as a favor for the patient. And the non-voluntary euthanasia, the consent will be given by the person's parents or guardian. Assisted suicide, this usually refers to cases where the person who are going to die need the help to kill themselves and ask for it. It may be something as simple as getting drugs for a person and putting those drugs within their reach. These all are assisted suicide. Indirect euthanasia, this means providing treatments mainly to reduce pain. And this treatment, it will have a side effect of shortening the patient's life. Since the primary intent wasn't to kill, it is morally accepted by some people. Coming to the history of euthanasia, it is believed that euthanasia started in ancient Greece and Rome around the 5th century BC. During the 17th and 18th centuries, it was a topic of discussion, and it was in 1828 the first law against assisted killing, known as anti-euthanasia, was passed in New York. In 1870, the use of morphine and other medications for assisting quick and painless death was suggested. In 1994, Netherlands, it was the first country where euthanasia has been allowed. In Belgium, euthanasia is only allowed in patients if the patient is adult. In the Netherlands, euthanasia is allowed for children aged between 12 and 16 years of age with the consent of their parents or guardians. Assisted suicide is legal in Netherlands and Switzerland. In Japan, only passive euthanasia is permitted for patients who have been in a coma state for more than 3 months. Coming to the religious views on euthanasia, Islam, Muslims are against euthanasia. They believe that human life is sacred and it is given and taken by Allah only. Christianity, Christians are mostly against euthanasia. The arguments are usually based on the belief that life is given by God and the human beings are made in God's image. And the Jewish thinkers, they oppose voluntary euthanasia vigorously, though there is some backing for voluntary passive euthanasia in limited circumstances. Shinto, it's a dominant religion in Japan, and 69% of religious organizations agree with the act of voluntary passive euthanasia. In Shinto, the prolongation of life using artificial means is a disgraceful act against life. In Buddhism, an important value of Buddhism teaching is compassion. Compassion is usually used by some Buddhists as a justification for euthanasia because the person is suffering from pain. Here the pain of the patient is relieved by euthanasia. So the Buddhism, it is supporting euthanasia. That's all for today. Hope you all understand this session. Thank you. Have a nice day.